Hey everyone, Generation Y Conservative here, and we just went to see The Fate of the Furious. So now we move to Phase 2.
Phase 2? What's Phase 2?
Phase 2 is the review of the movie. I just got done watching The Fate of the Furious with one of my friends from a long time ago that I've worked with and everything, Josh Peña. And you can also find him on YouTube as well under Josh Peña 10 videos. What do you do in your videos?
Basically, what I do is I just vlog my day-to-day life. Also for work, for what I do, I tend to travel a bit. So, just what I do, cool stuff, events, vacations, things like that. Editing tutorials.
Josh is like the Letty to my Toretto. No. Josh is like the Toretto to my Cypher. Yeah?
No.
Josh is the Vin Diesel to my Charlize Theron. No?
What? No.
Josh is the Nas to my Engine. That's a pretty good one. Josh is the Brian to my Dom.
Oh, too soon.
Too soon.
This should be interesting.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about in regards to the movie, the acting, the action, and everything else. All right, so Josh, let's go over first, because since this is a franchise that's been running for a long time. This is obviously the 8th in the series. Are you a fan of the whole series, or is it kind of like lukewarm for you?
Absolutely. I mean, the whole series from start to finish, at least, well, not finish, but where it's at now, has been nothing but like breathtaking in each one. You know, it kind of builds up, throws you all over the place, but yeah, definitely a huge fan.
People have criticized this franchise as getting obscene and just ridiculous, right? But what I love about this is it reminds me of Sharknado, right? The more obscene you get, the more fun it is, right? You know, so we started off with street racing. You know, that's purely what it was. There was a cop perspective on the other side of it and everything. Brian joins and everything into the team. Then they start going off on all these crazy things. And within the last couple movies, you started getting these kind of missions that they were going on and everything.
Right.
So that's the direction that we've had. This breaks away from all that while still maintaining the
foundation.
The foundation of the characters and what they do and how they interact with each other, except for Dom, which you can actually obviously tell from the trailer becomes one of the enemies of the film. Now, I'm not going to ruin that for you right now until we get into the spoiler zone towards the end of this and everything. Some of the things I was wondering when I was watching the trailer. Number one, first top question, how can you get Dom to turn on his family? He's all about family. It's all about family. And number two is Shaw, right? The wild card, who was the biggest enemy of the last film. How the heck do you pull him in to the team? Very surprising how all these things came to fruition, because both of those plot lines surprised the hell out of me on how they got Dom to do this stuff and how they got Shaw onto the team. But let's go over what we thought about the actors. Let's go with Dom first. What did you think of Vin Diesel and his acting in this?
I mean, overall, Vin Diesel kind of like, when you think of Dominic Toretto, like, it's Vin Diesel, you know? It's kind of, they just go hand in hand, and in some cases, when you see him maybe play other roles, you're kind of still looking at Dominic Toretto.
Yeah, Triple X,
you know,
Dom Toretto.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Vin Diesel, here's the thing about Vin Diesel. He's a likable guy. You know, he's a likable actor. Is he a good actor? No. Let's go over to my favorite, who I believe brought this series back to life, The Rock. By the way, a local to our area here, Bethlehem.
I think anything The Rock touches essentially turns into gold. That's just me personally, because I'm such a big fan.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
But I think he brought a different taste to it, showing kind of the bad side, essentially, in terms of being Hobbs. Like, you see Hobbs in a different light, essentially.
Okay. Ludacris and Tyrese, I kind of lump them together as their comedic relief. They're great actors in this because they play their part well in every one of those Fast and Furious movies that they've shown up in. That's their interactions, right? But we get a new secondary one of those types of interactions between Hobbs and Shaw, with Shaw being Jason Statham, right? Their interactions were freaking hilarious. Like, they're just tearing down each other with words. And some of the funniest things, like, number one, Shaw in the prison called him Hercules, which of course The Rock did play Hercules.
Little shot, you know. I definitely think the relationship that the two built, or whatever it may be, dynamic that it is, kind of reminds me of, like, you know, two older dudes just getting at each other.
Yes, that's a great one. Like grumpy old. Oh, you're too young for that. Grumpy
a
old
little
men.
bit, but I see myself with some of my friends like you when we're, you know, 40, 50, 60 years old, sitting on the porch doing
just
the same exact.
Ripping into
Back
each other.
in my day, I would.
But this started off with them seriously ripping into each other. Like, I am going to rip you apart.
You want to tell me why you just put me in a room with this tea and crumpets eating criminal?
You don't think that tight t-shirt's cutting off the circulation in your brain? You should get bigger size.
Yep.
Jason Statham's character, I think he did great. His action scenes were amazing.
I think with him, it kind of goes hand in hand. You know, when you see him in other movies, it kind of encompasses, like, you know, this type of athlete that he actually is.
Yep.
And he brings a different dynamic, because when you look at, especially over all the all the other movies, there isn't that one that can just take over a chasing scene, or like the chasing scenes are usually in a car.
Mm-hmm.
You have somebody that's running through people, around people, over people, you know, and it brings a totally different dynamic and different views in a cinematic sense.
The direction of the franchise to bring in the transporter was spot
Pretty
on.
dope.
I mean, how do you get better than that? Like how they tie that into the Han story.
Exactly.
I mean, my word.
Because you know how that situation happened at the end of Tokyo Drift.
Yep.
And everybody's like, oh my God, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it wasn't necessarily in order.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of glad they kind of got back on order.
Yeah, because that's a big complaint, is people are trying to figure out where
What's
in the
order?
Franchise we are. And it wasn't until this last one that with Jason Statham taking in that we are back on track, that everything from everything prior to this happened before Tokyo Drift.
Correct.
Which is a little crazy.
And it kind of wraps your head, like you wrap your head around once you see the scene where the whole Han situation happened, and you see it from Jason Statham's point.
Yep.
Or you know, Deckard Shaw's point. In the last movie, where he's basically like across the street watching it happen.
Yep.
And I think that kind of got everything back on track, and you know, kind of where we're at now.
Letty. So
Michelle
Rodriguez, yeah. I thought that she did a better job in this movie than all the previous movies. Her range of emotion has definitely taken off a little bit more. She always played that, like, snarling kind of
hard ass.
Yeah, she showed her lovable side with Dom, and like emotions that she was going through, seeing Dom in these situations, not trying to understand what was going through his head, but still having faith in him. I thought that was kind of cool. I think she did a really good job with that.
I think it kind of goes, you know, like you said, it's pretty straightforward, the role that she essentially played. You do see the emotional side. You do kind of see where the relationship comes into play, dialing all the way back to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So not saying that you can see hints towards it or whatever, but there's a part in the movie where there's a picture or two pictures.
Yep.
And it's from, I believe, I think it might have been the first one.
Yeah, I believe it was.
And it's kind of like, you kind of see them progress.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, back to what I stated before, it's just kind of where we're at now.
One of my favorite characters is what's her name? It's played by Nathalie Emmanuel. Ramsey.
Her parents did a good job. Yo, her parents did a real good job.
Not only that, okay, first of all, you can find Nathalie Emmanuel in Game of Thrones beside Khaleesi.
Yes.
Right? That's like one of her not mentors, but kind of like guidance people that she brings along.
Say that.
You know, assistant.
Yeah.
in a fantasy
Lack
world.
of a better term, yeah.
But interesting thing about that. So the guy in that tribe of people that are considered savages, the guy with the red beard and red hair and everything, he's also in the movie, and he is the sidekick to Charlize Theron. If you're like me and you follow up on entertainment before anything's even started filming, and I heard about Charlize Theron being cast as a villain, I'm like, come on, man. First of all, looking finer than ever in this movie. I think she looked fantastic. Like, better. I thought she was going downhill a little bit. No, she was amazing looking in this, especially in Cuba right off the bat. I don't think I've ever seen her act so well. She was, as a villain, this cold, calculating, just straight up villain. She was amazing as a villain.
I think she played the role to a T.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying anybody could maybe have acted better. Of course, there's, billions of actresses and actors or whatnot. But in terms of who she was, what the villain was, what the plot was, and the scenes that they had her in, were very cold. They were emotionless. There was You can't attach to somebody like that.
Oh, yeah.
She was literally a computer, and that's where she was.
Gave orders to kill without
hesitation.
Not
Not even a second guess. Not even no emotion, straight face. Like, she acted like if I pushed the enter button on a computer.
And that's her role. She's a hacker. I mean, so in this case here, kind of going along the lines of what you were saying there, is she acted like it was a command. And not only that, in subsequent scenes after a certain somebody was killed by her, right, or ordered to be killed by her, she plays it off like as an excuse. Like, listen,
it was you.
These are the roles that we play. These are the decisions that we make, and get back out there. Do your thing.
Good game.
Sorry. Yeah. You do what I say, or this is going to happen again. And it was that kind of like, she just brushed it off like, I don't feel sorry for you. She didn't play the sympathy card, but then she also didn't play like this throw it in your face card. It was cold. Let's go with cars. How was this is a Fast and Furious franchise. How were the models of the cars that were used and the action sequences that the cars were?
So, I mean, I guess this is more so, I guess, my taste of cars or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When you get into these type of movies or watch these type of movies, you expect the baddest, the finest, the gorgeous cars, the Lambos, the Ferraris, the et cetera, right? But what I was super proud of, and I guess this could tie into other pieces, was the location in terms of Cuba. Right off the gate.
I thought you were going with your hometown.
No, which, shout out Lower East Side. I was super excited because Cuba with
classics.
Like you got classic American cars, and with them being so close to society, essentially to an extent, because of the situation that they were in, they just made it happen, and it kind of gave a real ode to the culture and things like that. These guys had 50s like classic American cars, 50s running around all over the place, and right out the opening scene, Dom's like, it's a boat motor.
Well, and that plays into the political part of all the stuff that I do, which is the Cuba embargo and everything that goes on politically with them, where we cut off trade with them. They have to rely on the oldest technology that's available to them. So you're not going to find up-to-date cell phones or microwaves or refrigerators and everything down there. You are stuck in the 50s.
Literally.
And that's what you get in cars, which, gearheads love that.
I was in heaven.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, these are beautiful classic cars, except for the one that he ended up racing.
Touché.
Which was, the opening scene. I'll leave it at that, and we'll get into that in the spoiler area of it. In the Fast and Furious franchise, what do you give this out of 10?
It's definitely up there. I mean, it's tough to compare to some of the other ones. I've been thinking about this the entire time. It's kind of, for me, it's like a 8.5.
Oh man, we're spot on right there. I was gonna say 8.5, and the reason for that is I thought that the acting was top notch compared to all the other Fast and franchise movies. The action scenes, especially because of Shaw and Hobbs, were phenomenal. I mean, literally back-breaking scenes in this movie. And the camera angles which they did in the last one. You remember in the office scene in Hobbs when he took Shaw and flipped him, and they took the camera angle and went they did that a couple times, but in crazy new directions. So the cinematography in this movie was spot on. Acting, I said, was great. Car chase scenes were incredible in this movie. There were some things I took issue with just because family-wise, I have some things going on, and I'll mention that in the spoiler area. But top-notch. Wasn't a perfect movie because in my head I know some of these things are impossible. But Fast and Furious franchise-wise, 8.5. Solid 8.5 for me.
I definitely agree to that.
In regards to overall movies as a disconnected experience, even though you have to know these characters from the other movies, I would still give it around an 8.5.
It's definitely up there. I mean, I think, looking at it from, if you disconnect yourself from the characters or whatever it may be, which is kind of hard. I mean, you kind of grew up, we grew up with this stuff.
Yeah.
The franchise has been going on for X amount of years or whatnot, but, just looking at the angles and the types of things, that's one thing. But then I guess when you tie it back into the whole entire franchise, you're looking at, the different types of chase scenes.
Yeah.
There's a part in the movie that we've never seen before, yet that same part in the movie, they did use something similar to that in a previous one.
Okay, we'll get into that then. You'll have to bring that up again then.
But I like a lot of the stuff that they brought to the table. Different aspects, different ideas, different viewpoints, and just the plot itself, I think, is what really got me. I mean, Dominic Toretto's all about family, and, 8.5.
If you haven't seen the movie yet, go and see it. Come back and watch the rest of this video because we're going to get into some spoilers here. So we're about to enter the spoiler zone. Plot lines. The way that Charlize Theron gets Dom into her side is she shows him a video on a phone.
Early.
And you don't see it. You don't see it. You don't know what's going on until shortly after he screws up on something, and she has to remind him. And you find out that Hobbs's partner, which he had a relationship with in one of the movies, actually had a son that's Dom's, and she has both Dom and his son held captive on the plane. And really, he's in a spot where there's literally nothing he can do because there's so many safety protocols set up that he can't take anyone out on the plane, and he has to play her game. Shaw was amazing, the way that they did that. Turns out he's not really a bad guy. He was out for revenge in the previous movie because of what this team did to his brother, which I don't know where to place his brother. His brother really is still kind of an enemy. But Shaw himself was recognized as a royal captain, given the
top
highest
honor,
honors in the military of the British Army and everything. And you find this out, and him and Hobbs kind of playfully hit it off, even though they're kind of still taking jabs at each other and everything. Another part that plays into this is Charlize Theron has essentially, her character has been there the whole time. A lot of the operations, including the God's Eye, and what was the other one? Something with Shaw. So the original thing with his brother was 2 operations that she was behind, and these guys, the Fast and Furious crew, screwed up.
Blew it all up.
So that's why she found out about Dom, pulled him in, and used leverage against him. So I like how they're going back and tying everything together, and bringing it all together with all the previous movies and kind of tying that in. So I thought that was kind of cool. Action-wise, the opening scene with the classic cars down in Cuba, just ridiculous, off-the-wall racing, which ended up with him crossing the finish line in reverse.
It was absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know what to say.
But we're sitting there, and we're both. I was laughing at him being in reverse and everything, and the engine just glowing red because it was superheating and everything from everything going on. But while I'm laughing, I'm like, this is awesome.
I think
you know what I mean.
I think everybody's gonna kind of get that type of feel because I know I'm just sitting there like, yeah, okay, but then I'm also sitting there like. Oh, this is so good. I love this. It's so real.
I don't know how many times you and I looked at each other during the New York scene with all the cars on autopilot and her controlling this wave of vehicles coming because we've gone to this self-driving car generation now,
and
where
that's
that
wild.
kind of stuff can be hacked. And not that, a lot of criticisms were, okay, come on, Charlize Theron controlling this from an iPad, like all these cars in New York City. If you think about it, when you get into a new, like, Tesla car and you tell it to go to a certain spot, it's going to go there automatically. So if they can somehow program something to go to a destination being a moving target, I mean, I don't know. The car's raining down, the car's in a wave coming around the corner and just smashing into each other, and just, it was amazing. One of my favorite scenes was Hobbs and Shaw in the prison as the gates all opened up and all the prisoners came out. And not only were they each fighting, well, no, the prisoners weren't fighting Shaw because they were kind of on his side, but Hobbs being a cop, they knew that as he walked in and got put into prison. So Hobbs is just
wrecking.
Oh my gosh! When they're shooting him with rubber bullets, and
I know when that happened, I'm sitting here like, oh, let's do this. So I was getting all excited. And he was just like, really? Rubber bullets?
Oh my gosh.
He's such a man. The Rock he's a man.
You can't screw with him. Chase scene wise, we gotta go to the submarine thing. So leading up to the submarine chase. Alright. This is where I get into some of the issues here. Okay. First of all, don't let it ruin your movie experience, because this is something that Hollywood falls into a lot of times. And just because I'm so politically active, I know some of these things that happen. So let's talk about quickly an EMP device, okay, electromagnetic pulse device. When you set off an EMP, which two biggest films that I can think of offhand, this one and Ocean's 11. All right, one of the original one, when they shut down the power to the casino and then it comes back on and everything. If you set off an EMP, it fries the computer chips in everything in that radius. You're not going to get them rebooted and up and running again.
That's why I was cracking up.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, why can't Hollywood catch on to this? Call it something else. Call it like a temporary, like electric blockage of some sort. But this whole use of EMP thing drives me nuts. They use it to shut down the Russian facility to get in there, and then they use it to shut down the submarine stuff, which then you wouldn't be able to use the sub like they did. So then they get into the sub. Couple things with the sub. They take off in the sub, like dropping it like a torpedo, and this thing taking off after the car's under the ice and everything. When these submarines come into port, the family members literally have to stand there watching it come in for about an hour, because this is how slow they go. So for this thing to get down and get up to speed would take I don't even know if it's possible, the way that they do it in the Hollywood movies. So I took issue with that just because I know. Second thing, when this sub breached the ice, it just came up and just decimated everything above it. So
ridiculous.
When subs come up through the ice, I'm told that they do it slowly to ensure that the ass, sorry. They do it slowly to ensure that the ice breaks evenly and slowly, or how it's supposed to do it, But this thing just like kind of like a literal up yours, like with these vehicles up top. I mean, they bust through this stuff. One of the things that I thought was cool that they didn't overdo, they threw in though, which was another. You're kind of like the way you were talking about being up on trendy things and everything, right? Is they use those winged suits. And they didn't overblow it or anything like that.
Yeah.
The jet wing suits that you just strap on and everything.
That was so sick.
So Shaw and his brother using those to enter the plane and everything, that was pretty cool. Those things are really neat.
It's because it came out of left field.
Yo, yeah. And not only that, I mean, this is a spoiler area, so if you're watching this, hopefully you've already seen it. But not only that, we thought we didn't think Shaw was there. We looked at each other like,
yeah,
nah, that was too easy. But
next
they
scene
play it off.
Yeah.
They play it off like Shaw didn't make it. And I'm like,
and break.
No, something's wrong here. Okay, nerdy territory here. It was hot to see Nathalie go up against Charlize hacker-wise. but at the same time, you're like I'm gonna get her. Ba, 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 ba.
Do you think
Oh, you're really good. Ba, 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 ba. And it's like, at the same time, guys are sitting there like, all right, let's just see some fist fights here.
So I was kind of cracking up, like on the inside. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to really say anything, but I was kind of cracking up because we were talking earlier about AOL and AIM and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if they're just instant messaging each other? Like, hey, oh, cool, wait, message.
Yeah.
You know?
I gotta fight, BRB.
LOL.
When I go to see a movie, I gotta make sure that there's post-credit scenes or not. I didn't tell Josh this yet because as we were sitting there and the post-credits, or the credits started up, I looked up real quick to see if we should stick around and actually watch something so we could talk about it or anything. Found out a little tidbit of information. Did you know the production on this movie was put on hold for a little while because Vin Diesel got really pissed off at something and it stopped production and they didn't know if he was going to come back and this franchise was going to keep going or not. Or no, The Rock. It was The Rock. The Rock is the one that got pissed off at Vin Diesel, and there was actually an behind-the-scenes feud between those two specifically. Did you know that?
Had no idea.
Okay, I'm thinking that's because, again, like I said, I feel The Rock brought this franchise back.
I
I
agree.
really do. I think him as a character brought it back. So here's what I found out. Looking up to see if there was a post-credit scene, they think this might make the DVD extras, is what they believe. But it was cut on request of Vin Diesel because they found out that through the banter that we were talking about between The Rock and Statham, they did some extra dialogue there that would have set up a spin-off series for the two of them. And Vin Diesel didn't know about it, and when he found out through his sister, he threw an enraged fit to the studio and had them cut this scene.
Yo, what a hater.
So if enough people find out about this, and if this scene gets released, and if there's a possibility of a spin-off franchise for them to, I mean, that would be amazing. Because first of all, I think it's either 2018 or 2019 the next one comes out, and then 2020 is the final one. There is a set number for the franchise at 10,
yeah.
and they're all released on the same April date in those years. And I think Vin Diesel tweeted that out just within the last week or so. I'll throw that tweet up on the screen. Anything else that you want to add in? Any favorite scenes?
Tyrese essentially taking over the wheel and time out. So like the dude, first of all, right? I'm sorry, I might go on a small rant, 30 seconds, maybe not, right? But the dude is talking about a Lamborghini. Lambo. Super sick. My man shows up later on with the scene with a matching outfit for the Lamborghini underneath his snowsuit. Fine, whatever. So Lamborghini gets freaking, destroyed. Fine. But Hobbs goes, take over the wheel.
Yeah.
They shot these torpedoes at the freaking at the cars,
yeah.
right? At the guys, and Hobbs just goes to a torpedo. I'm sitting here like, my man got his feet on the ice, holding onto a door, and he just said, to a torpedo.
He could have just bink.
Come on, bro. The other scene that I liked it because it was semi-comical.
Yeah.
And, there's plenty of scenes that, we can go on and on about. But, like, I know I was cracking up. I know Chris was cracking up when they were going back and forth with each other in the cells. And
Yes.
they were locked up, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the part that I was, like, really cracking up because, Chris heard me say it. I was like, oh, shit, right? So they're, the dude, like, Hobbs is punching the wall, right? And I thought it was going to be a little crazy and, you're going to see, like, dust flying or whatever, like, kind of dramatic, but whatever. So, Jason, Deckard Shaw goes, gets his attention or whatever. Hobbs just pulls off the freaking bench or concrete bench or chair or whatever and just starts curling it. Like, realistic.
When I get out of here, I'm going to beat you like a Cherokee drum.
Right? So that happens, and then immediately after, the cell doors open. And you see The Rock's face for a split second like,
oh, this is about to go down.
and then it gets to probably one of the better scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah.
In terms of action. And
One more I know that you like too was on the plane with Deckard Shaw. carrying the baby and kicking ass.
So
and not only that, the baby's face, they couldn't have gotten a better baby to like react in the ways that he was doing, because the reactions on this baby's face were spot on,
natural.
They couldn't have like computer generated these things better. Like he's just like laughing to the music that's on the headphones that he puts on him. Was that it?
Yeah.
And he's spinning the carriage around while he's like just decimating these guys, and he's shooting them and everything.
And
it was great.
I think the cool thing about that scene primarily, and that might be, you know, up there in terms of scenes, because for me at least, because it showed a lighter side to the transporter.
Yes.
You know, and
exactly.
you know, Jason Statham, Decker, Shaw, whatever you want to call him, he's a transporter to me.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you know? And, you know, it showed a lighter side because he has this very stone cold, stoic face, like very, you know, he's a stone cold killer. Dude just runs around and kills people. The dude was, you know, whipping everybody's tail, and then, you know, would go to the screen and be like, oh, are you okay? Is the music good? And then, you know, get back.
Where's that smile? There it is.
And then that would be it. You know, it's kind of like, it's kind of ridiculous.
My favorite one.
Is that you or him? Him. Good.
But the thing is, the scene before that, he's like, you don't want to see this. Turns the baby around, and in the background, you see the dude's head just go boom, 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 like against the counter. It's ridiculous. It was great.
So
I loved it. Overall, the movie was dope. I really enjoyed it.
I want to thank Josh for being here again. Josh Peña 10 videos is his vlog on YouTube, so I will connect to that again here on the screen so you can check out him a little bit more. I really hope that he gets to come out and review some more movies with me. I know he is probably just as excited as I am for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is probably going to be the next movie that I review. I really hope to get a bunch of people together for that and pack them all in here, because it's just going to be funny. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully we get a chance to bring him in on that and some other people. In the meantime, if you haven't seen them already, you can check out the Beauty and the Beast review, Logan review, and Kong Skull Island review. In the meantime, keep checking back here for movie reviews, and also check out some of my political podcasts as well. You can catch me every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with the live stream on my Facebook page. Just search for the Generation Y Conservative. Have a great night, and God bless America.
That was awesome.